Midnight Prince, written by Aisha Urooj, and read for you by Farrell. Chapter 1. The Unlucky Prince. Prince Milos. I am no ordinary frog, even if I look like one. That is because I used to be a prince. So, how did I turn into a frog? The witch cursed me because I am terrible at golf. No, I wasn't cursed because of my terrible golfing skills, but rather my terrible golfing skills got me cursed. Confusing? Well, let me try to explain. I am Prince Milos. You might have heard of me? I'd rather be glad if you hadn't. You will soon know why. In my kingdom, I am a laughingstock at the golf course. My royal accountant loves it as people come from far and wide to see me tee off, and so it has generated quite a thriving local tourist industry. It is great for my kingdom's economy, not so much for my confidence. In golf, unlike in other sports, the higher score you get, the worse your ranking. Before me, it was my grandfather who was notoriously bad, but even his worst score was only in the high double digits. There is even a drinking game named after me. Prince Milos's highest golf score. The people stop counting after I blunder past a couple hundred points, because they forget the score or get too drunk to count, I forget which. I don't mind the people's exuberance, but on some days I just want to be a little normal. Those days, it seems, are few and far between. For my 17th birthday, as a self-care birthday present to myself, I went to a different kingdom to golf. I hoped that by trying a new location, I could miraculously cure my golf ailment. All I wanted was some anonymity and peace from the usual heckling, the jokes. Instead, I got turned into a frog. Normally, Agnes is the least difficult witch to deal with. Her curses are predictable. She even gets bored and removes them when she is feeling generous, but of course she wasn't today. She was upset with the Fairy King, but I became the hapless victim. Did I tell you I saved the Fairy King out of all people? It was an ordinary day at the golf course. My aim was terrible as usual. On any other day, it meant broken statues or broken hips. But today, my golf ball shot straight at Agnes just as she was cursing the king. Her curse missed King Elders, but she found out that it was my golf ball and was furious. The upset witch turned me into a frog for spoiling her day. The Fairy King was apologetic. I tried to console him as best I could, but it was hard considering I could only reply as a frog could. The Fairy King, King Elders, cut an imposing figure with his long full beard and a set of majestic antlers on his head. His enormous antlers are as famous as my golf skills are infamous throughout the kingdoms. King Elders was pacing back and forth in agitation, but his demeanor was anything but unfriendly. "Thank you for saving me from Agnes's curse, my boy. I am grateful in more ways than you can imagine," the Fairy King exclaimed. "I had a delegation of other kings coming this week. It would have been most inconvenient to meet them as a frog. They would have taken great offense." "Ribbit," I replied. "I meant to say, it is okay, don't mention it." "Oh, dear. I can't understand a word you're saying. I hope you're not swearing at me," the Fairy King exclaimed. I tried my best to shake my head, but quickly realized that frogs don't have necks. The king was not looking at my attempts to answer his questions. He was busy looking at the fine print of Agnes's frog curse. The tiny glasses he wore looked comical on the giant king, I thought. I guess him talking to a tiny frog must look funny as well. After a few hours, King Elders found some loopholes in the curse. He found out, for instance, that we couldn't directly tell the name of the person cursed, but there was nothing that stopped us from mentioning their occupation. There were other loopholes, too, some of which he hoped could help us. We must get the curse off you. I tried to ask Agnes to take it off, but she wouldn't listen unless I agreed to her demand. My advisers won't let me, the Fairy King lamented. The only way to change you now is if my daughter agrees, but that path might prove even more difficult than the witches. Rivet, I say again, miserably. I don't know what I was trying to say. Maybe it was a croak of agony at my bad luck. The way to break Agnes's curse was by a kiss from a prince or princess. Agnes's frog curse is the simplest of curses with the simplest of solutions, but luck doesn't favor me. The Fairy King has a daughter. According to the rules, we could not ask the princess directly for the kiss. Even though King Elders promises he will help in any way he can, I just hope that he is right, because the problem is that the princess is sympathetic to Agnes, and she will not listen to anyone else. It is looking hopeless, I must admit. Chapter 2. The Rebel Princess. Princess Kitty. I am no ordinary princess. I am a rebel. If you want me to do something without giving me a good reason for it, I will do the opposite. My royal name is Princess Catherine Elizabeth Maria Twinklefeather of the Fairy Realm, but you can call me Princess Kitty. Thankfully, I am more like Grandpa Twinklefeather than like my father. Grandpa is probably off wrestling with sharks in the water realm. Oh, my grandpa is so cool. Although I have arm-wrestled a few crocodiles myself, the crocs are way more gracious at losing than the sharks are. That makes arm-wrestling with sharks more dangerous. They are sore losers and biters. When my father came and asked me to babysit a cursed prince frog, I refused to believe that it was anything but a ruse, a trap. It must be another scheme by one of his advisers to instill more responsibility in me. Puffed. I wonder which one of the 7 advisers it was that gave my father the idea. Probably the one who's always lecturing me about skipping my lessons during summer. Granted, this is the fairy realm and it is summer every day, except on Yule and Halloween. You can't expect a 16-year-old to stay indoors when the weather outside is glorious, could you? I'm also the most popular influencer in all the kingdom. Where else will I find great pictures to post on Fairygram? Definitely not inside the stuffy, outdated castle. If they hold me up inside all day, it'll be a massive crime to all my fans and followers. Even the trolls that like to post mean comments would be out of a job. When my father kept insisting, I finally agreed. Maybe I should be logical about this. Fairies can't lie, but I know his advisers bend the truth a lot. My father, on the other hand, can't lie or keep a secret in his life. Before you frown at me, know that I am all for animal rights. I will keep the frog in an open glass box near my window, just in case it wants to leap to its freedom. But don't expect me to be kissing any frogs. My father has not asked me to, but the entire kingdom knows about Agnes's curses. If the frog really is a prince that was cursed, I know what can change him back. It is no secret. Agnes will probably change him back soon enough, even if my father is saying that she's too upset and that she won't. Out of all the witches, Agnes is my absolute favourite. She never holds a grudge, for long. Her refusing my father today was different, so I wonder what changed. The question isn't why Agnes cursed the unfortunate prince, whoever he is. The real question is, what made Agnes so upset that she refuses to change him back? Chapter 3. The Witch is Upset. Agnes the Witch. I am no ordinary witch. I am the witch of the fairy realm. I am as respected for my potions as I am feared for my curses, and I like to keep it that way. When I asked the Fairy King for an international day for the recognition of warts, I expected him to agree. His refusal upset me greatly. I can't even talk about it right now. I have been serving in this realm for 200 years, and not once have I asked the king for anything. I have not even taken a single vacation day in my entire career. I had low expectations from the previous king, Eldis's father, Twinklefeather. But Eldis I thought would be different. I know that Twinklefeather cares for no one else but himself, but I always thought his son was more compassionate and caring. I thought that Eldis, out of all people, would understand, especially since I have been keeping his secret safe since he was a wee lad. He knows what it is like to be different from others. Still, I should have known better. In my long, witchy lifespan, I should have learned that it is always the ones you trust that hurt you the most. It is always the one who you have high expectation from that let you down. I'm sorry that I cursed the innocent boy. I truly am. The young prince, Prince Milos, is sweet, but clumsy, and I can't remove the curse now. If I hadn't used up my frog spells for the year, I would have turned Eldis into a frog too. Perhaps that would have made him agree faster. Now I am out of frog spells. And it is only March. Maybe I have become too soft over the years. I must remind people that I am Agnes the Witch. I will stay firm until warts get the recognition it deserves, no matter how long it takes. The king and all the people in the fairy realm will know that this matter is important to me. I will not change the boy back until the fairy king agrees. No one can change my mind. Absolutely no one. I think I need a vacation. I feel my anger bubbling on the surface these days. The last time I lost control was 201 years ago, back when I worked in another kingdom and cursed the entire realm with chickenpox. I like working in this realm, and I don't want to move again so soon. I think I will book a retreat in the mountains. Get some fresh mountain air while riding my broomstick in the mornings. I will practice meditation in the caves. Yes, a vacation will be good for me right now. I will ask King Eldis for some time off right away. Chapter 4. The King Plays Matchmaker. King Eldis. I am no ordinary king, or so my advisers tell me. I am King Eldis T.F. of the fairy realm. Unfortunately, the T.F. stands for Twinklefeather after my father. When Agnes requested a day to celebrate warts, I almost agreed. My kingdom could use another holiday to celebrate between the dull days after February, and Agnes is the hardest-working witch in our realm. She may have her quirks and odd curses, quick-changing as her moods, but she has been good to the people of my kingdom. I don't remember her ever asking for anything. Before I could answer her, my adviser told her it couldn't be done, that we had used up all the allocated holidays for the year for the next 500 years. I'm pretty sure she came at the golf course to hex me, but the boy got caught up in the mess. Poor Prince Milos turned into a frog, and on his birthday, too. I take a liking to Prince Milos. Wouldn't it be wonderful if my rebel daughter agrees to date him? Milos reminds me so much of the awkward days of my youth. He is shy, clumsy, calm, reserved, the opposite of Catherine. He is worlds different from her previous boyfriends, too, the ones I couldn't stand. Her whiny vampire rock star ex, or her hypercritical goth werewolf prior to him. Her vampire boyfriend would fly in through her window, play awful music all night, and stay hung upside down as a bat in her closet during the day. I started casting a protection spell around our neck when, during one dinner, he asked what blood group we were. The audacity! Her other boyfriend, the goth werewolf, used up all the coal in the castle, causing panic during the festival season. I, even as Fairy King, couldn't find any coal for myself because of the severe shortage. When he started eyeing my imported eye night cream and made snide comments about how extravagant it was, I had just about enough. I didn't deserve his criticisms, and I didn't need to give him any explanations why I use the cream. A king needs to look good. Both of them were entitled, undeserving brats. I won't tell him this, but maybe it was a good thing that Milos was cursed. I am more convinced that Prince Milos is the perfect match for Catherine. I will best prepare him for my daughter, and her temper. I'm trying to reverse Agnes's curse, and so far I have had some luck. I can change Milos to human for a few minutes at a time. It is easier to have a conversation with him when he's not croaking. I cast the spell, and he transforms. He is still crouching like a frog, but he stands abruptly as if embarrassed. The spell worked better this time. He didn't transition into a duck, lizard, or purple platypus before turning human, unlike the last few times. I saw him slouching and couldn't help but say, "Keep your back straight, boy." Immediately, Prince Milos stands straight like a rod, and I give him a curt nod of approval. Every time he transforms, we go through the same drill. I fire questions at him to see how much he remembered. "What is her favorite color?" I ask. "Turquoise." "Her favorite food?" I ask again. "It changes with the time of day, the season, and her mood. It is best to ask her." "Excellent. What is her favorite ice cream flavor?" "Vanilla ice cream. Even if she claims it is a strawberry sundae with chocolate chunks, caramel drizzle, and rainbow sprinkles," he replies. I nod my head again. The boy had an excellent memory. It might help him, and he needs all the help he can get. "What is her favorite kind of music?" "Fairy polka," he answers correctly. "Her favorite sport?" His voice is slightly higher when he says, "Arm wrestling with crocodiles." Did I see Milos sweat a little at that answer? It is hard to tell because he turns back into a frog. Looks like time was up. Oh, I will keep working on the spell, but for now I return him back to my daughter's glass box, as Catherine is never in her room during the day. I need to get them both to talk to one another, or the boy will stay a frog permanently. Chapter 5. Courting at Midnights. Prince Milos. I am forgetting what it is like to be human, as I've been a frog for well over a month now. King Eldus finally had a magical breakthrough. Though he has still not convinced Agnes to change her mind, he has a spell that might help me convince Princess Kitty. I can now turn back to my human form for an hour at midnight. That is all the time I will have to court the king's daughter, or at least try to impress her enough for a kiss. The king meets me for a pep talk. I think that it is time, Prince Milos, King Eldest says. Remember, you have an hour after it turns midnight. I suppose I could hope for a miracle. Where will I find her? I asked my co-conspirator, who happens to be the fairy king and the target's father. She will be in the royal garden watching the royal flowers bloom. Do you think you're ready? King Eldest asked. I say uncertainly. King Eldest slaps my back and says, I like that confidence. I see the princess admiring the royal blooms in the garden. All around her, the flowers were glowing like moonlight, but she was the loveliest among them. Maybe the rumors of her being difficult are false. She looked so sweet and angelic. I must have been staring at her for a long time. I stopped gaping when an owl hooted angrily for blocking its view. I only had an hour. I definitely didn't have time to dawdle. I slowly approached the princess. I timidly said hello, but she was startled nonetheless. I must have caught her in a quiet moment of reflection. She wasn't happy about being caught. Princess Kitty folds her arms and asks suspiciously, Who are you? I am the new gardener, I say cheerily, attempting to mask my lie. The king and I had practiced my responses. The king couldn't lie as he is a fairy, but I am part fae, thanks to my fairy grandmother Gertrude. I am grateful for my human side for once. I thought the princess would ask my name. Instead, she asks, A gardener? Where are your tools? Crikey, I knew I was forgetting something. I sweat. I could feel beads of sweat rolling down my back. This was not a very convincing start. I am a new assistant to the gardener's assistant. I'm still learning, so I don't have tools yet, I say. My voice cracks. You seem a little old to just be an assistant gardener, Princess Kitty asked, narrowing her eyes. Why did she have to be so observant? Yes, I am 17. I used to have a different job, but I switched careers, I say quickly. I don't like to talk about it too much because it embarrasses me. Surprisingly, Princess Kitty softens at this response. I know what it is like to feel you don't belong, she said sadly. I'm glad that you looked for something new, instead of staying stuck and miserable. Sometimes I wish I could do the same. How do you like this career? I saw her looking at me kindly and I melted. I really wanted to tell her the truth, that I was a big fat liar, that my grandma Gertrude would be appalled to call me her grandson right now. My sole intent, and that all I was really here for, was to steal a kiss from the princess. But if I told her the truth, I would stay a frog forever, with my best meals being worms and flies. Ugh! I decided that if I can't tell her the complete truth, then I will try to be as truthful as I can. This new path in my life is surprising, I say, choosing my words carefully. Every day I discover something that I didn't know before. I felt less guilty saying that to the princess, because it was true. Change can be good, Princess Kitty says, smiling. Discovering a new perspective makes life more interesting. I smile back. You mentioned sometimes you wish you could change your career? I asked the princess, genuinely curious. I may be a fraud, but I wanted to know more about her thoughts. Why do you feel that? I thought being a princess would be a dream job. Because I'm horrible at it. I wish there was more to it than tiaras and gowns, she said. But isn't that up to you, princess? You can decide what you want to do, I say. How can I do that? She asked. I don't feel like I could do that. Why not? What is stopping you? I ask again. Everyone. I feel that all eyes are on me all the time, waiting for me to make a mistake, Princess Kitty said. Does that bother you? It should bother me, but it doesn't, she said. How can I learn if I don't make mistakes? Then what is stopping you from doing what you want to do? She stays silent for a few moments. I am stopping myself, Princess Kitty exclaimed. It is up to me, like you said. You are a genius. Thank you. I smiled. I'm glad I could help. What are you going to do now? Oh, the first thing I'm going to do is free the frog in my room, Princess Kitty said. The miserable creature has been croaking all night for an entire month. I'm not convinced he is even a prince. I will set it free in the swamp. Oh, my God. The swamp will swallow a small frog like me whole in seconds. I tried not to faint as I sensed my imminent demise. But, what if it is a prince? I sputtered. I'm not convinced that he is, the princess replies stubbornly. Shouldn't you make sure first? I say, trying not to scream. Maybe. You may be right, Princess Kitty said thoughtfully. I know. I will boil it in water to test it. I think I saw a video on Fairy Talk. Don't regular frogs leap out quickly while the cursed ones stay longer? After hearing about the princess's planned science experiment, I had to somehow stop the tears in my eyes from flowing freely. What about asking the witch? I said desperately. I prayed the princess listened to me. I did not want to be boiled. I guess I could do that. The experiment might not work, or it will be too messy, Princess Kitty said. I will go meet Agnes, then. I almost slumped over with relief. Now there was another problem. I could feel the hour being up soon. My feet were already forming webbed toes. I have to go back to work now, I say quietly, hoping that the princess won't take offense at leaving so soon. Can I meet you again tomorrow? Princess Kitty said. I liked talking to you. Can I know your name? I am Milos, Princess, I say. Please call me Kitty, the princess replied. Okay, Kitty. I will see you later, I said. I didn't want to leave her, but I had little choice in the matter. I will let you know what happens with Agnes, the princess replied. I hope I can see you tomorrow. I hope so too, I reply, slightly nervous. Whether we meet again would likely depend on what happens after meeting with the witch. I just hope Princess Kitty doesn't turn me into soup once she finds out who I really am. I wave the princess goodbye and feel my heart flutter when she waves back. I rush towards her room before I turn back into a frog, otherwise I would have to hop all the way back. I didn't notice that someone was already waiting for me there. I bump into the Fairy King and we both scream at the same time. Oh, my boy! Don't squeak like that. My old heart can't take that much excitement, King Eldus says, clutching his chest. I'm sorry, King Eldus. I wasn't expecting you were waiting for me, I reply, trying to catch my breath. I really need to exercise more, I thought. Why wouldn't I wait? I'm anxious to know your progress, the king exclaimed. This was awkward. We both knew what progress meant in this case. How will I ever talk about kissing the king's daughter in front of him and not feel terribly awkward? I say, rather wisely. Well, I have some good news, I reply happily. We talked. King Eldus shook his head and sighed. Looks like we have a long way to go. The princess said that she will go meet Agnes tomorrow. That would do no good, the king replied miserably. I thought the king would be happy knowing that his daughter might not have to kiss a slimy frog, even if that slimy frog is me. Why is that not good? I asked, confused. Because Agnes is on vacation. She took a 3-week vacation from me this morning. I dare not refuse her this time. I know she is out of the frog spells. She might have turned me into something nastier," the king exclaimed. "Like what?" I asked, morbidly curious. "Like a cockroach," the king cried. The idea of being turned into a cockroach was truly awful. We both shuddered together. At least a frog still had a chance to turn back. But a cockroach? Who would kiss a cockroach? Someone would likely squash it mercilessly before the day was over. "What did my daughter say to you?" the king asked. "She wants to see me again. Tomorrow," I say. "Good, good," the king said absent-mindedly. I wanted to ask what he was thinking about, but when I opened my mouth to speak, only a croak came out. Looks like my hour was over. As the curse turns me back into the miserable tiny frog, I watched the king in the room become gigantic. I felt even smaller inside. The king picks me up from the floor and gently places me in the princess's glass cage. "Oh, I am sorry. You got into this mess because of me," the king said sadly. I croaked back in sympathy. "Who are you talking to, father?" the princess says, coming into her room. "I was talking to the unfortunate prince," King Elders replied. "Are you still saying that he is a prince, father?" Princess Kitty asks skeptically. "Yes, and such he is our guest," King Elders said. "Okay, if you say so, father. I will add a few more worms in his glass cage," the princess said nonchalantly. The king sighed. He took one last look at me before heading back to his bedchamber. He still had faith my curse would be broken. I only wished I felt the same. Chapter 6. The Princess Investigates. Princess Kitty. The new gardener boy is right. I should make sure it is really a normal frog before I set it free in the wild. I'm growing suspicious as I have never heard of Agnes's spells or bad mood lasting any more than 2 weeks. Either the frog is just a frog, or a very unlucky prince that for some reason got caught in Agnes's rage. I must investigate. Despite saying I wouldn't take the frog to the swamp, I have to because that is where Agnes lives. I reach her house, but am disappointed when I saw the crooked sign hanging on her front door. "Gone on vacation. Be back in 3 weeks. If it is urgent, contact your nearest witch." The frog twitches nervously in my hands as a snake slithers nearby. This was highly unusual. I never heard of Agnes being on vacation. Now I really wonder what is going on with her. "I can tell Milos that I tried, right, frog?" I say. "We can come back when Agnes returns from her vacation." The frog croaks back eagerly. It was eager to get far away from the swamp. It was such an odd animal. I only see Milos at midnight. I tried looking for him in the morning, but he was nowhere in the gardens. I tried finding him in the castle, but he wasn't there either. I asked the head gardener about the new assistant to his assistant gardener, and he shook his head. He had so many assistants that he couldn't keep track of them all, he said. He is right, though, I thought. We have the largest gardens in all the fairy realm and probably had thousands of gardeners to maintain it all. I asked Milos if I can see him during the day, and he said that he works the night shift, and that midnight is the only time when he is free. Why do I feel like he's hiding something from me? He hardly speaks about his old job, the one that he is embarrassed about. Maybe he worked for a celebrity who made him do awful things, like bring him impossibly complicated fairy lattes. I want to punch anyone being mean to Milos, for he is super sweet. He even cares about the frog in my room. I hardly paid attention to it before Milos, but now I want to do the right thing. The next time I meet Milos, at midnight obviously, I tell him what I intended to do. I am going to break the curse, I announce to him. I'm going to kiss that frog. You're going to do what? Milos asks. His jaw drops. Odd. I thought he would be happy, but instead he turned pale. You are the one who convinced me. If the frog really is a prince, I should set him free, I say. I can't wait until Agnes comes back from vacation. But Agnes is coming back tomorrow. Can't you wait until tomorrow? Milos says. He seems nervous. Maybe he's nervous about me kissing what is potentially a prince. Oh, he's jealous. But he doesn't need to worry. I like him more than I will like any silly prince. No, I will do it now and end the suspense, I say. You could come with me. Milos tries to stop me, but I already am on my way to my room. He sighs and follows resignedly. I reach the glass cage in my room, but I am shocked. I don't think I can do this, I say to Milos. Milos was looking at the frog too, like it surprised him to see it there. It looked like he was seeing a ghost. I said I can't do this, I repeat. Milos comes out of his stupor. That is okay, but why did you change your mind? Because Agnes is coming back tomorrow, I say, and I don't remember that the frog looked so terrible this morning. I hope it isn't sick or something. It was true. I thought the frog was bright green this morning. Now it looked grey and super slimy, like it was a completely different frog. I saw Milos smiling. I assumed it was because he was glad I wasn't kissing a prince. Oh, Milos is so cute when he's jealous. Chapter 7. The Switch. King Eldus. What has the world come to? I think as I hide among the bushes. Here I am, King Eldus of all fairies, spying on my own daughter, with only a miserable-looking grey toad as my companion. Still, it needs to be done as I promised to help Prince Milos. I adjust my binoculars and go back to spying. I'm in a far corner of the garden, well hidden among the bushes. I can see both the prince and my daughter clearly, but I can't hear their conversation. I try to read their lips, but with mixed results. What was the boy saying to her now? He looked nervous. I peer into my binoculars again. Milos was pointing towards my daughter's pants. My pulse went up rapidly. What was he saying to her? I will kill the boy. My daughter looks at her pants and flicks off the ant. Okay, so that was what he was pointing to. This spy business is terrible for my blood pressure, I lament to the grey toad. The toad blinks his eyes at me. I look back through the binoculars. Something had changed. My daughter was talking animatedly and pointing towards her room. Prince Milos looked like he was about to faint. Why? Was he trying to stop her from going to her room? Oh, my daughter must be going to get the frog from her room, but Milos was there in front of her. She will get suspicious if she goes back and finds the glass tank empty. Oh, I must do something. I look at the grey toad beside me. Looks like you're going to be useful after all, I say, as I pick up the toad. The toad gives a miserable croak. I quickly place the toad in the glass tank before my daughter gets there. I was hiding among the curtains when Catherine quickly comes in the room and picks up the imposter toad. Oh, that was a close one. I can hear their conversation this time as they both leave the room. Catherine doesn't want to kiss the ugly toad, but she promises to talk to Agnes tomorrow. Things are finally looking good for Prince Milos, I thought, relieved. Chapter 8. The Princess and the Witch Make a Deal. Princess Kitty. So I couldn't kiss the frog, but that is okay. I'm going to do the next best thing, Talk to Agnes directly. I went to the swamp first thing the next day. I didn't take the frog with me because last time it looked terrified being there. Thankfully, Agnes had returned from vacation. But why did she look so miserable? I thought she would have enjoyed having a break after such a long time. "How are you, Agnes?" I asked her. "Is it okay if I came to talk to you about the frog's curse?" "You will not change my mind, Princess. I will not remove the curse until Elders agrees to what I want," Agnes says. So the curse on the frog was real, I realize, shocked. That would mean the poor prince was a frog for 7 weeks. I never heard Agnes hold a grudge that long, ever. The other witches kept grudges for lifetimes, but not Agnes. She stifled a sob. "Are you crying, Agnes?" I asked, concerned. I saw a tear fall down Agnes's face. I rushed to hand her my handkerchief. She gave a small, sad smile, and then loudly blew her nose into it. I tried not to wince at the horrible sound, knowing it will make her more unhappy. "Why are you upset? Tell me, Agnes." "It's nothing. Nobody cares," Agnes replied, sniffing. "I care," I replied. "Tell me what is bothering you." "Your father didn't give me the day of recognition that I wanted," Agnes said miserably. "He doesn't care about me." "I understand why you would feel that," I replied. "My father said there already is a holiday to celebrate witches. If he gave another one to witch folk, all the other creatures will feel slighted." Agnes said nothing, but gave out another loud sigh. I waited for her to say something. "I didn't want a day for witches. I wanted a day for warts," she said finally. "Huh? My father didn't say anything about that." "You asked for a day to celebrate warts?" "Yes." "And my father refused?" "Yes." I knew my father might agree to it, but his advisers never would. Agnes looked miserable about the topic, so I had to ask her, "Why is this so important to you, Agnes?" "It is because no one likes my warts. But it is such a big part of me. In all my paintings, sketches, and all my statues, the artist removes them," Agnes cried. "They think it's ugly." "I don't see it as ugly. It is so you," I replied, horrified for Agnes. "That is what I'm saying. You're the only one who understands," Agnes said. Now that I finally understood what was upsetting Agnes, I had an idea. "I think I have a solution," I replied. "You do?" "Yes, but I will need your promise," I replied, smiling. "After I am done, not only my father but the entire kingdom will appreciate your warts." "If you can convince them, then I promise to remove the curse from the frog," Agnes says. "We have a deal," I say, happy. I spend the rest of the day drawing up the plans and the invites that I would need. This was going to be an event everyone will talk about for ages. All I needed to do now was to let my father know. Chapter 9. Celebrating Warts and All. Princess Kitty. I went to see my father first thing in the morning. He was so shocked to see me up at that hour that he immediately checks my temperature.
"Catherine, why are you up so early? Is everything okay?"
my father, King Eldest, asks. "It is Kitty, father. Yes, everything's fine," I say impatiently.
"Is the frog okay?"
my father asks. "Honestly, father, sometimes I feel you care more about that frog than you care about me," I say, furious.
"No, dear, never,"
my father says immediately.
"I just wanted to know why you're up so early."
"I wanted to talk about what I wanted for my birthday," I say. My birthday was only a week away. It was a fairy law that I can ask my father for anything for my birthday, and he couldn't refuse.
"You can ask for anything, dear,"
my father says sweetly.
You know I won't say no."
"Yes, I know, but I wanted to ask you in person," I say. I take a deep breath and say, "I want to have a themed celebration."
"But you always have a themed party. What's different now?"
my father asks, confused. "I know that. I wanted to make the announcement myself," I said to my father, "and the theme will be a secret until then." My father looks more confused, but he doesn't ask anything else.
"Okay, if that is what you want for your birthday," my father says. "Are you sure that you don't want something else too, like a unicorn, perhaps?"
"Dad, I'm going to be 17. I'm almost an adult." A tear glistens in my father's eyes.
"My little princess is growing up so fast. I remember when all you wanted was a unicorn."
I sigh. "Maybe next year you can get me a unicorn."
"Really?"
my father says, ecstatic. "Yes, sure, whatever. But all I want this year is a surprise-themed party for my birthday," I say.
"Then you will have it. I will let my advisors know right away," my father says.
I roll my eyes. I don't know who holds the actual power around here, but when I see my father the king rushing quickly to discuss with his advisors, I know it isn't him. The day of the big announcement arrives, and I look nervously at all that had gathered in the royal court. I hold the frog in my hand, and Agnes is standing nearby, ready to break the curse as soon as I make good on my promise. There is a large crowd, and reporters of all kinds are present here too. Good. "Thank you all for coming here today. I'm excited to share an announcement with you," I say. Someone yells from the crowd, "We love you, Princess Kitty!" There was a small crowd carrying banners and posters with my pictures on them near the back. I smile and wave to my fans. As a royal princess, I issue a royal decree. Instead of celebrating my birthday, we will celebrate something different this year. This year, we are celebrating warts and everything that makes you, you. Freckles, moles, birthmarks, 7 toes and fingers, stretch marks, extra horns. If you have them, flaunt them. If you don't, by royal decree, everyone will wear one either by prosthetics, makeup, or by spell." There are mutterings and an excitement in the crowd. The reporters are going crazy, clicking and recording with their phones and cameras. I pause. If you are against the holiday, I won't force you to celebrate it. You can spend the day somewhere else, but if you stay, we will have a massive celebration party in this kingdom. Everyone is invited. I will post the invite that I made myself on Fairygram. I see all of my father's advisors shake their heads in disapproval. Too bad for them if they disagree. This was going to be the best celebration the kingdom ever had. I'm surprised when my father comes and stands beside me. I get nervous. Was he going to stop me? He clears his throat.
"I have something to share with you all," he says. "It is a secret that I have been hiding all my life because I was ashamed of it. But my daughter has given me the courage to reveal it to you today."
Father kept a secret, I thought, shocked. I wonder what it could be. The reporters are clicking even faster now. This was going to be headline news. They could feel it. King Eldus, my brave father, put his hand on one of his magnificent antlers and takes it off completely. It was a fake. One of his antlers was fake. The audience gasped, and one of the king's advisors fainted at the revelation.
"I broke one of my antlers when I was young," the king said sadly. "Agnes helped keep it a secret all this time, even though she told me not to hide it. I should have listened to her then, and perhaps I would not have lived so ashamed of being different.
A stray golf ball had broken King Eldas's right antler off, most likely by Milos's grandfather. I looked at my father with pride. "I am proud of you, father," I say to him. "You really are a true and wise king," Agnes said to my father. "Ribbit." The frog seemed to agree with us. Tears of happiness glistened in my father's eyes. The frog croaks again. "Oh, right. Agnes, could you please remove the curse from this frog?" I ask her. Was it my imagination, or was the frog trying to escape from my hands? Agnes gave the frog a stare, and it stopped squirming. "I will change him back," Agnes said, smiling. My father looked delighted for the frog. "You have given me more than what I wanted, and so I will keep my promise," Agnes said. I placed the frog on the floor and watched as Agnes cast the spell to turn it back. It is breathtaking to see the ugly frog turn back into the prince. I wanted to see how he looked but couldn't, as he kept his back turned to me. How odd. Chapter 10. A Frog No More. Prince Milos. I held my breath as Agnes turned me back into my body. As much as I hated being the frog, I didn't want to turn back right now. Not when the princess was watching. I turned my back and hid my face from her. I bowed longer than was needed in front of the king. King Eldas was able to save me last time, when he put the grey toad in the empty cage, but he won't be able to save me now.
"Rise, my son,"
the king said magnanimously. I continued bowing. I didn't want to rise. I didn't want the princess to find out that I lied to her all this time. I tried to slip past her, my back still turned towards hers. I nearly jump out of my skin when she taps at my shoulder. I am a doomed man. Red-faced and embarrassed, I turn to face her, but she doesn't look surprised, nor does she look angry. "Milos, I knew you were the frog," she says. "How did you know?" I asked, surprised. "You forgot to take off your crown one night," Princess Kitty replied. "And I asked Agnes." Ah, that made sense. "Are you mad at me?" I ask, dreading her reply. "I should be, but I'm not," she said. "I lied to you," I say. "I think I understand why you did," she says. "I even lied to you about things that I didn't need to lie about because I wanted to impress you," I say. "Like about what?" she asks, curious. "I'm not a gardener," I say. "I know. You're a prince," she says. "But I won't hold it against you. You can't help where you were born." "I'm not friends with anyone from your favourite polka band," I confess. "That is disappointing, but forgivable," she said. I built my courage to tell her my most terrible truth. "And I'm not an athlete, even if I said I was," I say. "In fact, I'm terrible at golf." The princess looked a bit surprised. "So I've heard, but I don't think it is your fault," the princess replied. "It isn't?" I ask. "No. Have you ever tried wearing glasses? I've seen you squint a few times," Princess Kitty says. "Perhaps that will help?" "My advisors advise not to wear glasses, as they don't look very princely," I reply. Princess Kitty rolled her eyes. "You know what I think about advisors?" "Yes, perhaps I should wear my glasses. It can't hurt," I say, excited at the prospect of not being terrible at golf. "No, it won't," she said. "I think you'll look cute in them." I felt my heart flutter. She said I would look cute. Maybe I wasn't a hideous lying monster in her eyes. Maybe I still had a chance. "If you're not mad at me, can we start again?" I ask. I would like to take you on a date, Kitty. She pauses. My heart thunders in my chest as I wait for her to answer. Okay, but before we do, there is one thing you should know about me, Princess Kitty said. What is that? I ask. For the first time after knowing the complete truth, Princess Kitty smiles. I don't listen to anything or anyone except my heart, she replies. I smile. I wouldn't have it any other way. I feel my heart leap with joy. I think I may have a chance at winning her heart. I might even have a chance at getting that kiss. Wish me luck. The end. This has been Midnight Prince, written by Aisha Urooj and read for you by Wayne Farrell. Copyright 2021 by Aisha Urooj. Production copyright by Aisha Urooj.